This is the second part in the basic video editing tutorial. I'm going to show you how to put black in front of and behind your project, how to add some simple titles, how to put in some transitions, how to add some music to your project. And I'm going to go over how to crop a clip. This first clip has some black that was created because I had a matte box on my camera, which is kind of like a sunshade. My lens is a zoom lens, and it was set to wide angle, and it caught the edges of this matte box. So I need to crop this video enough that you don't see that anymore. So let's do that first. Way to do that is just to double click this in this window, and you can see there were some little blue corners going on the edges and the side and the top and the bottom. If I drag that out, it's going to expand this picture past the edges of my project, and I won't be able to see that black anymore. After I'm done, if I think that looks the way I want it to look, and it does, I can just click out here. That'll perform that transformation, which is just basically making my file a little bit larger. And now I'm going to go back with my playback head and just watch a little bit of the footage and make sure everything seems fine. While we're here, if you look right here where it says fit, there are different zoom levels. Sometimes you might want to zoom way in and see something a little closer. It's 50%, 25%. Usually I have this set to fit. Another thing you might want to adjust is over here. This is the playback resolution. Sometimes if you have it at full resolution, when you play it back, this will kind of stutter and it won't play smoothly. On my computer, it's playing fine. But if it ever doesn't play smoothly, just reduce this from full to maybe half or a quarter. At this magnification, you can't tell the difference when you're looking at it, but it will make it so it's not as hard on the computer to play it. Okay, so I've cropped that clip. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some black footage to the beginning and the end of the project. I want to make sure I'm at a zoom level where I can see the entire project and have some room. A way to put black at the beginning is to move your whole project to the right a little bit. So to do that, I'm going to just drag a box. I'm holding down the left-hand side of my mouse that touches all of my clips and my adjustment layer, and just move it back. It doesn't have to be a particular amount right now. So I'm going to get some black and put it in the beginning, and black and put it at the end. Bring my playback head back to the beginning. A way to do that, I'm going to go back to my project panel. At the bottom of your project panel, if you go right to this icon where it says new item, what I want is black video. When I click on that, it's going to tell me what size, meaning height and width, how many frames per second, and the aspect ratio of the pixels. That's always fine. It's just going to make it the same size as the rest of your project. So hit OK. And there it is. So now it's another asset or a media item. So I'm just going to get this and drag it into my video track. I don't know if we've talked about this. See where it says V1, V2, V3? Those are different video tracks, kind of like layers in Photoshop. And A1, A2, A3, those are audio tracks. So I have one video track and one audio track. So this looks about 4 seconds long. If I wanted it longer, I could just drag it, or shorter, I could drag it. I'm just keep it about where it was. So to get rid of this space, I can do a couple of things. I can right-click and ripple delete. Command Z to undo what I've done. Or I can select everything, drag it so it gets close, and it will snap. So now I'm going to play the whole thing. I have black that lasts that long, and then it goes to the picture. When I do this, I just kind of think through this in my mind, what's going to happen. So I'm going to have black, then I want the title to fade in, title to fade out, black, and then the picture to dissolve up. Dissolve means one picture is kind of fading to another. I have black here, so that black will kind of dissolve into the picture. So I've got that. And now I'm going to add some black to the back. I go to the same black video here and just drag it to the back. Now the project goes from black to picture, from picture to black. Now what I'm going to do is just make a simple title. And titles just need to be simple. So what I'm going to do is put my playback head here in the beginning where there's black. I'm going to go down here where there's a T in my toolbar, the type tool. Click on that. And then just go up here and click. And just title this whatever you want on your projects. It'd usually be the title of the movie. I'm just going to type in Running Man. And I'm not worried about what font I'm using and what size it is. For now, I just want to get it up there. If I want to make it larger, just like I made my clip larger in the other, when I was getting rid of that map box, I can just drag it, put it in the center. Notice it went on its own layer on video 2, and notice the length of it. I want to start black, go to the title, have the title go away, go back to black, then the picture. So it would look something like this. So if I drag this to the beginning, black, title, black. To me, that black went away too fast and the title is up there too long. So I'm going to zoom in by dragging this so I can make the corrections easier. Drag this in a little bit. Drag this in a little bit. And instead of this just being a straight cut between black and title, I want that to be more gradual. And also know that you can change a lot with this. If I highlight this, I can then go up here and change a lot of this. See where it says source text? I can change the size of it. I can change the font family, the font style, if that particular font has a style, justification. We'll talk about those things more later. For now, just grab something simple. So what I want to do now is talk about transitions. I'm going to now go into this effects area. And we want to use a video transition. There are also audio transitions. Transitions when something changes from one thing to the next. So I'm going to go down, and the most common kind of transition is a dissolve. And this cross dissolve is the default dissolve for Premiere Pro when you first open it. The way you use these, and you can use these differently, If I wanted to have a dissolve between these two clips, I would drag it right between the two. On something like this, where I just have black and then title, I'm going to drag that dissolve to the beginning here and the end there. So I just get cross dissolve, put it there, and see how they have this highlighted area? That's how long it's going to take to go from one thing to another. So for now, the easiest way to do this is just bring your playback head back, hit play, and sure enough, that dissolved up. And that seemed like a fine amount of time. If I wanted it shorter, I could drag this to the left, longer to the right. So now I'm going to drag the cross dissolve to the end. And I know I'm going to watch that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cross dissolve between the black and this first clip. Watch what happens when I hit play. Black, bam. Well, that's not necessarily the way I'd want this to start out. I'd want it to go gradually from black to picture. So cross dissolve, and put it right. Notice I can put it on the left side or the right side or right between, and that's what I'd want. And notice where that goes, right between them. So I'm going to go back a little bit, play it, see what I've got. So I'm always adding something, testing it, playing it again, testing it, adding something. So that looks good to me. Just leave the default times on these for now. I'll show you later how you can adjust the time, the length of the dissolves. But for now, that's good. You've got to be careful where you put these dissolves. Usually, if you're working with the same scene in the same time, they're just straight cuts like this. That wouldn't be a dissolve. If we were now leaving this, instead of going to black and going maybe somewhere else or to another time, then maybe you'd put a dissolve or a fade. Sometimes you'll just have one clip fade into black, another clip go from black to picture. We'll talk later about why you'd want to do that. So I've got my text, I've got my dissolves, and now we're at the end, and I'm just going to put edited by on this. I've got my playback head where I'm going to kind of want this text to go. Get my text tool, click, and edited. Notice that this is left justified. That means the words go to the left-hand side of this box. If I want it to be on center justified, which I probably would, I'd click this. I can move this where I want it. I could drag a corner to make it bigger or smaller. Notice where this is. Notice it went in there just exactly where I had my playback head. So I'm just kind of looking at this space and making this one similar. So I'm going to want to do the same thing. I want it to go from picture to black, from black to edited by. So now I'm going to put in the dissolves. So there's going to be a dissolve between these two clips, these two video clips, the picture and black, and a dissolve at the beginning and end of my title. So I grab the same cross dissolve, put it right in between there, and put it at the beginning of this, and put it at the end. Okay, so I'm almost done. There's an audio track here, which is just the sound that was playing when I was recording this. I don't want that to be in this project. I could delete it, or more simply, I could just mute it. That means you just can't hear that. So this M means mute. So now even if the volume was turned up, you wouldn't hear what's going on this track. I want to get some music that plays during this project. I have another I have another audio track right here already, audio 2. So I'm going to drag my audio file, which is one of the assets I imported. This loophole fragment MP3. And we put the playback head where I want it to be. Now, this is a decision to make. Do I want the music to start right away? Do I want it to start when the picture starts? Do I want it to start when the title starts? I don't really know. I'm just going to drag it down here, then work with it a little bit. So I grab my clip, drag it down to this A2 for the second audio channel. And I put my playback head maybe right at the beginning of the title, and it will snap to that. Notice at the other end it goes way past there. I could either go here and drag this all the way back to trim it, or I could get my razor blade tool and just chop it off, because I know I'm not going to want to use this past this. Razor blade tool is the fourth tool down. It looks like a razor blade. I'm going to go a little ways past the edge and just click. That cut it. And with my regular selection tool, I'm going to make sure this is highlighted, hit delete, and it will go away. Something to know, it really isn't gone. I really didn't get rid of it. I could grab this and drag it all the way back out. It's just an actual edit point. So now I'm going to go back to the beginning. So I press this to go to the first endpoint on my whole project. I'm going to play it. And you can't hear it, but I can hear it in my headphones. If we turn up the volume. So I'm going to have that happen. I'm going to have the music just fade in when the title fades in and fade out when the title fades out. You can control the volume of music or any audio in a couple of different ways. I'm going to show you what I think is the easiest one. First, I want to zoom in a little bit to the beginning. I need to see more of this. If you go to the bottom in this area, go to the bottom of that audio track. I'm on audio track 2. You'll see how that cursor has a double horizontal line. So I'm just going to drag down, and that just makes that track wider. There's a line in the middle. It's like the volume line. When I was playing this back, that's my audio meter. That's going, I think, too far to the top. I can bring that whole volume down if I just drag this line down a little bit. Now it's gone down 5.75 decibels. You saw that number down there. I'm going to play it back. See how that's up to about -6? Now there are a lot of different ideas where that should be. For our project, let's just say, have it so it's staying around that. If it occasionally bounces up to the 0, that's fine, but you don't want it just sitting up at that 0. There's a thing called clipping in audio. It's where it kind of distorts it. So think of that as a volume line. All the way down, no volume, all the way up as high as it can be. Well, what I want to happen is I want this to fade up. And again, you can use an audio transition, but I want to show you how to do it in a manual way. What you do is you get this pen tool, and you decide where the point is. You want it to be all the way up to the normal level. So I'm just going to go in a little bit. Just make a little point right there. Then I'm going to go to the very beginning with my pen tool and just drag that down. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little spot there at 0 decibels that's going to then fade up to this and play at normal volume. I'm going to do the same thing at the other end. So I'm going to want this to be, so you got to decide where you want it to start going down first at this end. It should be right around here. I just holding down the left-hand side of my mouse and pulling down, and that's how I can move that wherever I want. Again, you can't hear this on the tutorial. The way my audio is set up, it doesn't work. You can just trust me. So no music, fade it up, playing at full volume, and I'm just going to put my playback head back here. So I don't want to watch the whole thing. And just as my title is fading out, my volume faded out. Using this pen tool to raise and lower the volume of the music is something you'll do a lot. Sometimes you have music playing at a certain volume, then some dialogue will start. Well, while that dialogue is going on, you could have the volume of the music fade down. So what I would do is when I want it to start fading down somewhere in the middle, I put a dot there. This one I drag down. When I want it to go back up, that's where I want it to start going back up. When I want it to be full volume again. So that's how I would make this music get quieter. And you can have it just get quieter a little bit or all the way. I'm just going to undo this by hitting Command Z. So I believe that's all I wanted to show you. So we've got black. We got a cross dissolve into the title. Got music that starts to play. I'm going to keep it playing. And right here, this kind of dissolves in to picture. Plays all of our clips till we get down here. It hits this adjustment layer, which makes the picture a little bit darker. Dissolves to black, dissolves the title, dissolves to black, and the music fades out. So that's it, boys and girls.